Mr. Patrick Francie.
JG, my friend, how are you?
Good. You look amazing for 8 a.m. Calgary time. It's minus 56 outside.
Yeah, yeah.
That,
I'm, I'm wearing a vest indoors, so what does that say?
I am not kidding you. I actually have my winter boots on right now because it's so cold.
Yeah.
That's good. So, Patrick, as people are tuning in, hey, folks, welcome, welcome, welcome. I want to welcome everyone. It is, if you're from Alberta, it's 8 a.m. If you're from BC, it's 7 a.m. So if you're from BC, wicked. Probably the most of people are going to be from Ontario, Patrick, I would imagine. Maybe, maybe not. In Ontario, it is 10 a.m. right now. We're going to be talking about sponsorship. We're going to be talking about marketing. We're going to be talking about how to grow your business, and I'm really excited about that, Patrick. You know, it's my favorite topic is how to grow a business. So,
100%, man. And you've done it enough times now that you've got some good guidance, some good advice along the way, so it's perfect.
Yeah, it's going to be good. So we're going to get started in about 2 minutes, folks. While you log in, while everyone's logging in, let us know. I want to have a competition right here live on Zoom right now. I want to find out who's the coldest. Right now, I'm minus 26 in Calgary. Where are you from, and what's the weather like over there?
Yeah. Where are you from? What's the weather like? Minus 26. It's warmed up a little.
Yeah, I know. It feels like we're going down south here.
Yeah.
We did start the day at minus 56 yesterday in Edmonton. So.
Yeah. Well, go down to the bottom chat, ladies and gentlemen, and let us know where you're from. Give us a temperature. Let's just get warmed up, because that chat is going to be where we take on questions as well. So we'll make it really interactive.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll be actually throughout this presentation, folks, I'll be asking a question. We're actually going to be doing some work today, Patrick. This is not just people aren't just going to be sitting idly by. Listening to us, although there's going to be a bit of that, but we're doing work today. People are going to have to do calculations, a little bit of math involved. I didn't tell anybody that, Patrick. If I told people they had to do math, they probably wouldn't show up. But if you can handle 1 + 1, you can handle this math. So I think that it's going to be good. We're gonna get started here in about 1 minute. Where's everybody from? What's the weather like? See, I'm just going to open up the chat here. Yes, beautiful Guelph. Not bad, minus 12. Excellent. Excellent. We got people from all over the place here. Hey, Donna. Excellent. Justin, Michelle, Natalie. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, and hey, Haran. What's the weather like over there, pal? Paula, Paul, Kathy, Adele, Chris. Wow, that's fantastic. Great.
But we did so just to give a little bit of context. It's funny how weather is in Alberta, right? So we were here last night for the REIN member meeting, which was just freaking awesome. It was an amazing meeting, considering how cold it was, and we just had a great turnout and great fun. But anyways, one of the members had been skiing at Sunshine, which is really, an hour and whatever it is, an hour and 20 minutes or something from Calgary. And it was -8, yet it was -29 last night when he got to the meeting. So it's, an hour and plus away, it's -8. He had a great day of snowboarding. So kind of cool.
Totally. Excellent. Well, Patrick, let's get started, my friend.
Do it.
We got a lot to cover, and we are on a tight deadline because we have another meeting shortly after this. So
You bet.
let's get it going.
Let's do it.
Now, can you just want to get a thumbs up here, Patrick? Can you see my screen okay? Yeah?
I see it. I'm looking at myself. I'm not comfortable with that.
Folks, for those who don't know us, this is Patrick Francie over there, co-host of today's webinar, the CEO of REIN Canada, and also the host of The Everyday Millionaire, which is a phenomenal podcast. Just approaching our 1 millionth play very, very soon. So hopefully you're listening to that podcast, you're liking that podcast, you're sharing that podcast. Incredible value. And my name is JG. I'm the JG is short, by the way. People ask me all the time, what's that short for? Short for Jean-Guy. So I'm French Canadian originally, and I'm the Chief Growth Officer for REIN Canada. And marketing has really been a passion of mine, Patrick, as you know, and probably a lot of people don't know, but marketing's been a big passion of mine because I figured out early on that if you could become an expert in marketing, you'll never go hungry. when you know how to market a business, you know how to grow a business. You don't go hungry. So I built and sold 6 companies. A lot of people know I've authored 4 books, and I previously had a marketing company that I grew from 170 employees, from zero, just me and a partner, to 170 employees in 14 different countries. And I'm still, as you know, Patrick, very active in real estate. And this webinar is actually nothing about real estate, which is kind of weird for me to do a webinar, not talk about real estate, Patrick.
Yeah, not doing math, not making suggestions whether you should fix and flip, rent to, buy and hold.
Totally. This is about marketing today. This is about growing your business. And so today this is about you. It's not about us. It's about how you can grow your business and how maybe partnering up with REIN is a good idea. This isn't for everyone, folks. I want to be very upfront about that. We at REIN are very, 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 very picky about who we work with, and you'll see in a second for very good reason. But this is about growing your business. So this is about you learning how to generate more leads for your business and closing them faster than ever before, which, Patrick, this is what people want. People want to grow their businesses, and lead generation is a big part of that. Working with the right type of clients is a big part of whether or not your business is going to grow. And I've always been a big proponent of specific targeted marketing activity that is going to make the biggest difference. So Patrick, let's riff on this for a second, because as a business owner, Patrick, you've been doing business now. You've owned your own business for, is it
35 plus?
It's 65 years.
35 plus years, and I want to talking about riffing, we all want to, attract leads, but, we don't want to step over the fact that you want to attract the right leads. You want to be attracting leads that are really in, that's your target market. And, when we look at marketing as a whole, it's really critical and essential that you understand who your market is. And so that you're actually speaking to them specifically.
Yeah, no, that you're absolutely right, Patrick. It's so critical. And as a business owner, Patrick, we always, and the people listening, folks, you always want to focus on that 1 or 2 or 3 things that's going to make the biggest difference in your business. You know this, that sometimes you do 10 marketing initiatives and the first 2 represent all of the result, whereas the last 8 have done very little. And essentially it's just a big waste of money. Is you gotta figure that out. And that's what we're gonna learn about today. That's what we're gonna teach you, is learn how to generate those leads and build that business faster than ever before, focusing on those 1 or 2 things that can really make a difference for you. So this is what we're doing. Now, Patrick, most people here are gonna hear what we say. They're going to understand intellectually. They're going to get it. Like in their mind, they're going to be like, yeah, this makes sense. I get it. They're actually going to agree with us in principle. They're going to feel it in their bones, even though their bones are very cold, especially if they're in Alberta.
Yeah.
And they're going to know this is the right thing to do. But Patrick, they're still going to do nothing. Why is that?
Oh, man, if we could crack the code on that one, but it is true, is that you get it. And then you have to execute. And that's where the breakdown is. Okay, now I get it. Now what? Exactly. And it's the execution where things break down.
100%. So, folks, you're going to get some amazing stuff here today. Then you got to take the next step. And I'm actually going to tell you what the next step is. So that's great. You just got to do it. I'm going to give you everything. You're not going to have to guess in terms of, do I do this? Do I do this? Do I do this? I'm going to give you the next step. You just got to take the action. So today, what we're going to cover is we're going to cover 4 principles to double your sales and triple your profits. 4 principles. So if you're taking notes, and I hope you are, and if you're watching this on Facebook, I hope you're also taking notes. I don't want anybody watching this passively now. This is big. This is a big deal. You could really make a difference in your business if you take this seriously. So 4 principles to double your sales and triple your profits. Now, doubling your sales is actually, depending on the size of your business, is relatively easy. In most cases, Patrick, if you double your leads, if you increase your leads, you'll double your sales in most cases. Typically, lead generation and sales generation are somewhat related depending on the size of your business. And that's relatively easy to get through. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think it is. I think the misconception, however, there's a myth in behind all of that, which is you know, I'm going to say it again, is targeted leads. Now you can buy leads that are specific to your industry, for example, but those bought leads, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later on, are certainly not the quality of leads that you're generating through your own initiative. So there's some, I guess, clarity that needs to be always in the conversation around leads, but you're right about that.
Yeah. Well, and what's interesting is actually speaking of lead generation, you're absolutely right, Patrick, in the sense that people get into a mode, they get into a thinking, they get into a mindset that if I add any type of lead, it'll increase my business because that's what's happened up until now. But as you grow your business, you end up finding out that, oh, I've actually got these 100 new leads, but I used to close 80% of my leads, but now I got 100 new leads and I'm only closing 30%. Well, unfortunately, folks, that is where the losses occur, because you're wasting all this time working with leads that are no good. You're wasting all that time, effort, energy, money, all that, everything, working with people that you're not closing. So the quality, Patrick, is very often overlooked and way more important than people realize, which is get more leads, but get more qualified leads.
It's so true. And being very specific to your target, understanding who your target is, and then how do you tap into that target? You know, and there's the, you know, I'll use an example. So radio advertising, of course, is if you're in a city of 1 million people or whatever the number is, and you do radio advertising, you're actually you're casting a net out into the kind of the big ocean of possible leads. And then you hope you attract something. But if you're business specific and you're going to, I don't know, let's say you're going to do a trade show that is specific to your industry, then you're showing up and you're having conversations. Now that's a whole different pond that you've gone fishing for leads in. And that's where the gold really lives, is in the quality of leads you attract through the specific, we'll call it the pond for now, that you're fishing in, right? So being very clear on that is so important.
Now growing sales is one thing, and a lot of people are interested in growing sales. And having been in business as long as you and I have been together, Patrick, we know that growing sales without growing profit is often just futile. You're just spending more time. You really want to grow profit. Is really, as a business owner, that's what you want. So doubling sales is actually relatively easy, but how the hell do you triple your profit? You know, I like to say that this is 4 principles to double your sales and triple your profits. Doubling sales, okay, more leads, more quality leads, you can double your sales. But how do you triple your profit? Well, I'll tell you how to triple your profit, Patrick. You got to stop spending your money on dumb marketing. You know,
great start.
It's a great start. I've often been known for helping companies double their sales and triple their profits. And people always ask, how do you do that? What I do is I cut the marketing budget, which often is big, and I stop spending it on things that don't work. So when you're looking at marketing, you got to figure out what works. You have to make, and if you're taking notes, please jot this down. You have to make data-driven decisions. See, most marketing companies, most businesses, marketing for them is guesswork. They really don't know what works. They don't know what doesn't work, and they're just guessing. And that leads to confusion. It's like, what the hell do I do? I'm very confused right now. I'm going to show you today how to measure your marketing. And that's what we're going to get into next. And that's going to allow you to start measuring your marketing so you stop spending your money on dumb shit. Dumb marketing, sorry. Freudian slip right there.
Yeah, Freudian, yes.
So here's principle number 1. It comes back to what Patrick was talking about, which is quality over quantity. And that is principle number 1, focus on the 20-80 rule. Now notice I didn't say focus on the 80-20. I said focus on the 20-80, and it looks like this. See, selling, folks, is like kissing. Growing a business is like you cannot sell someone who's backing away from you. In order to kiss someone, if you've ever had the pleasure, is that both people have to be leaning forward. You can't kiss someone who's backing away from you. So the trick is, how do you get them leaning forward? If you can get them leaning forward, then you have a better chance of growing your business. And the trick with that, in this fancy drawing, Patrick, I took out my iPad and I drew a fancy drawing here.
Nice.
This was not drawn by my...
That's almost a work of art right there.
This was not drawn by my niece. This is like, I actually drew this. So what happens in marketing is most people are playing at the bottom of the market. They're pushing their way up the chart. So if you consider this as a triangle, what you want to do is you want to attract and pull the top 20% of the audience to you. That's where the money lives. That's where the profit lives. But where most people play with marketing is they go up the bottom of the triangle. And when I say that, what I mean is they're doing things like radio advertising where they don't know who's listening. They're doing things where they don't know who's listening. They don't know who they're attracting, and they don't have a data set that allows them to truly know who they're pulling towards them. This makes it different. This is the difference between what I call push marketing and pull marketing. If you're pushing your way up the bottom of the pyramid, you're pushing your way up the bottom like you're just blasting on Facebook. Hey, I sell insurance. I sell insurance for real estate investors. Call me if you have a problem. Like, you're just blasting that out to the world. Who the hell cares? I mean, that's what I mean by pushing up the bottom, Patrick, where you're really not making a difference for yourself because you're not attracting that top 20%. Any thoughts on this, Patrick?
Well, I think I think it goes back to, what I said earlier, and there's a couple things I don't want to step over, but that really is not being specific to your target market. It's not understanding who you're talking to and actually reaching out specifically to them and fishing in the pond where your leads are. But there's, I don't want to step over something that you said earlier about data driven, and maybe it's implied, but data driven decisions means that you have to collect the data. You have to look and see what the return on that investment is, see what your conversion rates are, and actually track that data so that you can make informed decisions based on it. So when you talk about data driven decisions, first off, as business owners and with whatever, you've got a marketing team, whether you're doing it yourself or having others do it, you want to know what the results of that are, which goes back to here. Where is it that you're going to go and put your investment of capital, and why are you doing it?
Well, and that's a great point, Patrick, because if you are working with marketing people or a marketing company or a marketing agency, and they are not measuring this stuff, they're not measuring your growth, they're not showing you reports that show measurable growth, they're really doing you a disservice. Please only work with people that are making data-driven decisions when it comes to marketing, because marketing is a creative and scientific endeavor. It's both. You can't do one without the other. Marketing is not only scientific, it's also very creative, but the creative has to lead to a scientific result that you can show, because without that, you're just guessing, and marketing is not guesswork. If you're taking notes, please write that down. Marketing is not guesswork. So as we move forward and we attract those people to us, and I'll show you how to do that today. For example, I'll just give you an example of, if you are interested in this kind of target audience, if you're interested in an audience that's got above average income, if you're interested in an audience that's well educated, if you're interested in an audience that's got a propensity to be business owners, if you're interested in leaders, if you're interested in decision makers, if you're interested in investors, and specifically real estate investors, then REIN is a great place where you're going to find that top 20%, Patrick, is going to be, that's where they are. They're in REIN. They're in the REIN meetings. They're at the REIN events, because that's who we attract. We know that. And if that's who you attract, well, you may be interested in this point. You may be interested in working with us. Perhaps, I'm not saying that's the case, but you need to know this, and you need to have a plan to attract them to you. Don't push your way up the bottom, because that's where you're going to spend a lot of money and a lot of effort for very little result. So think about, always start by, who's that top 20% I'm trying to attract? In our particular case at REIN, this is who we know is in our room. This is who we know is in our events, everything that we do. Patrick, having worked with an audience of 151,000 investors coast to coast, we know this. Anything else to add, Patrick? You've been speaking to the REIN community for 20 years.
Even as REIN, I mean, we collect information on who our demographic is. So when we send out our surveys every year or two, and we actually understand what the incomes are, we ask those questions, and the one thing about REIN members, for example, is they are well educated. Post-secondary education is really a a huge percentage of what we've got for individuals in the room. So it's in the business side of it, understanding your demographics is what creates the conversation. Where do you enter the conversation so that you're speaking in the values of your audience, not just your values?
You can't even begin to figure this out unless you know your audience.
100%.
It's impossible. So first, principle number one, folks, focus on the 2080. Let me go back. Focus on the 2080. Find a way to attract them to you. REIN might be a great brand partner for you in order to attract. If your top 20% is these people, then you probably should look no further. But that's only principle number one. Let's move on to principle number two, which is make data-driven decisions. We just talked about this, and I'm going to show you today, because this is a big statement, Patrick. I mean, I don't have the background of everyone listening. For me and for you, this is second nature. You've been at this for 35 years. I've been in business for almost 20 years. This is second nature. We've literally trained ourselves to think this way, but I can't assume everybody knows what the hell this means. So I'm going to describe it step by step. So folks, this is where the exercise comes in. So make sure you have a pen and a paper, because we're going to do this together. So let me start by sharing a story, which is, and Patrick, maybe you just mute yourself in and out whether you're talking or not. Thanks, pal. So let me share this story with you, folks. The concept here is called lifetime value of a client. And that is the data set. That's the data point that you really need in order to make strong marketing decisions. When you get confident, when you get truly confident about what your lifetime value of a client is, it opens up all kinds of worlds of opportunities in marketing, and I'll show you why. When we first started our marketing company back, this is in 2012 roughly, we figured out that for every $200 we spent in marketing, we would have a return. We would generate $2,600 in sales from that client in the first year. And once we stretched that out, we had enough data to stretch that out. We figured out that for every $200 in marketing that we spend, we actually generated $8,000 in sales. Now, what this does, folks, is this puts the power in your hands as a real estate investor. There I go. This puts the power in your hands as a business owner, because what you end up doing is, that every time you put in 200, you're pulling out 2,600, and over the course of the life of that client, you're going to pull out 8,000. Patrick, let me ask you this, just straight up, no funny business. Would you trade me if you had your $200? You gave it to me and I gave you back $8,000. Would you do that deal?
Yeah, I would do that, and I'd go be looking for a whole lot more $200 bills to keep doing that deal.
But that is the power of this. That is the power of figuring out your lifetime value of a client. And a lot of people don't know their lifetime value of a client, and it handcuffs them to making marketing decisions. So we're going to figure it out today, right here on this training. What is your lifetime value? So here we go. So and the people listening, you're from all kinds of different businesses. You might be a realtor. You might be a mortgage broker. You might be a lawyer. You might be an accountant. You might be an insurance business. You might be in the staging business. You might be in the renovation business. You might be in the property management business. You may be in all kinds of businesses that I don't necessarily know. So you got to do this work on your own. So here's where we start. When I figured this out, when I put these numbers to paper, our company blew up. We went from 12 employees all the way up to 14 countries. We grew from 12 to 170 employees. We grew from one country in Toronto in Canada to 14 countries in 3 years, because when you're able to make this trade confidently, Patrick, because that's truly what's happening in marketing. You're making an investment today of money for a short-term return and a longer-term return. That short-term return for me was $2,600. That longer-term return was $8,000. When you get uber confident, and I mean uber confident in that, then like Patrick said, you get real creative on going to find $200 bills so you can switch them as fast as possible. And what the result of that, folks, when you truly figure that out, is this. When you truly figure it out, is your business goes through cataclysmic growth. That's what happens. Now, Let's figure this out together. So the first question I want you to ask yourself is, how much does a client spend with you? How much do they spend with you on average in a year? So if you look at, so some businesses, Patrick, are easy to figure out. You know, if you look at, for example, think of a realtor, right? There's probably lots of realtors that are going to watch this. A realtor, say the average transaction is X number of hundreds of thousands of dollars. Your average commission is this, which you should know. And if you don't, then you really got to figure out how many times on average does someone sell a house with you over the course of their life? Is it 2 times? Is it 3 times? That's the lifetime value of a client for you. Okay. Now, Patrick, take an insurance company, for example. That's not difficult to figure out either. You have on average, your premiums are going to be like your commission as an insurance company. Your commission is going to be X. I'm just going to make it. I'm just making this up, Patrick. I'm making up these numbers. Say your commission on average is $500 for the year on that client, and that client stays with you for on average 5 years. Well, that's $2,500, right? So how much do they spend with you? Figure that out first. If you're a staging company and you sell your services for $2,000, and on average a real estate investor will use your services twice a year, then you're $4,000 per year. How long are they going to stay with you? That's the next question. For how many years are they going to buy your services? Okay, so
and we take this for granted, and I know that I've learned over the years in working and coaching with many people is that the lifetime value of a client, that concept, as much as we think it's really prevalent, and it just we don't think any other way than understanding the lifetime value of a client. I'm not going to assume that everybody listening perhaps to this particular webinar understands that the lifetime value of a client actually is everything. It is where your decision, your marketing decisions are based. It's one of the fundamentals of making a marketing decision in terms of how much you're going to spend, how you actually create the relationship, that long-term relationship. This isn't a one shot, let's get this data and make a decision. It's looking into the future and actually doing the math on the lifetime value, because that is going to drive your decisions on how much you invest in marketing.
Yeah, so very, very good point, Patrick. So first question, how much do they spend with you? Write that number down. Second question, for how many years are they going to spend with you? 1 year, 3 years, 10 years, 20 years? Some of you, especially like the insurance business or accountants or lawyers, you're going to have those clients for 20, 30 years. You really got to think about that. I mean, they may think a lawyer, for example, or yeah, let's take a lawyer. Say an average transaction for real estate investors, $1,000 in your pocket. Okay. And let's just say that on average, they'll do 10 deals over the course of 30 years. Well, they're going to spend 30 years with you and at $1,000 each. How much is that? I mean, that's a lot of dough. So you got to figure out what that adds up to. So how much do they spend with you for how many years, and how much does that add up to? So let's go back to an example. You're a staging company. It's $1,000 on average. They do 2 deals a year. So that's $2,000 per year. And on average, they stay with you for 5 years. Well, that's $10,000. That's how the numbers shake up. Then you ask yourself the next question, which is, do those clients send you referrals? As a small business, Patrick, you and I know this is most clients will send other clients. You know, there's typically like a 1-to-1 or a 1/2-to-1 percentage where a client's going to bring another client, especially if you do a great job. So how many referrals can you expect from that one client? Is it 1? Is it 2? Is it 3? Is it 4? Is it 5? I don't know. It depends on your business. Once you figure that out, then you know your lifetime value of a client. So let me break down the full example. You're a staging company. You charge $1,000 for your services. By the way, folks, I'm totally making up these numbers. I have no idea if they're accurate. I'm just going at the numbers. So you're a staging company. You charge $1,000 for your services. On average, a real estate investor is going to hire you twice per year. So that's $2,000 per year. And on average, they're going to stay with you for 5 years. If you don't know, by the way, Patrick, if you don't know the answer, if you don't know, if you've only been in business for 2 years, Patrick, how do you know how long a client's going to stay with you?
Well, it's still always a calculated, I don't want to call it a guess, but it is, you have to put some number on it, right? You have to, if you're understanding your business enough to know, and that you're going to be in business, even if you're just starting up. Even part of starting up your business is understanding what the lifetime value of your client is, so that you can make budget forecasts on your sales and based on the revenue and the industry that you're in.
So you're absolutely right, Patrick. We're not going to call it a guess, but we're going to call it a forecast. What do you think? How long do you think? Do you think they're going to be with you for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years? Start by making a forecast and then prove it right or wrong as you go forward in your business. That's all. That's the only way to do it.
Which means collect the data.
Collect the data. That's right. So if you add all this up, folks, if you add, your staging company $1,000, they buy twice from you per year, they stay with you for 5 years. So that's a total of $10,000. And let's just say that the average client will refer one client. So that referral is also worth $10,000. So your lifetime value of a client in this case is $20,000. That's the number in this example I'm giving you. Now, for you, I want you to write that number down and keep it handy. We're going to revisit this at the end. Okay, so make data-driven decisions. Principle number 2, it's all about the lifetime value. Now, let's move on to principle number 3. And this one, actually, Patrick, is really near and dear to my heart, because depth of relationship really matters in marketing. And a lot of people, being the guy that I'm known for, this being the social media guy, if you look at depth of relationship, social media is probably the least effective when it comes to depth of relationship. It's a very superficial relationship. Just think about it, folks. Think back to your Facebook friends, your Instagram feed, your Twitter followers. You have hundreds, if not thousands of people. Some of you have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of friends. Would you bring those friends over to dinner? Would you invite those friends to your daughter's dance recital? No, it's a superficial relationship. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's not a deep relationship. Not for most, not for the great majority, not for 99.9% of your followers or friends on these social platforms. So a social relationship on social media is very superficial. It's at the bottom of the pyramid. You go one step up. If someone has opted in and subscribed to your email list, for example, and you're in regular email communication, well, that would be an example of a little bit deeper relationship. Then you have events. Now, events are phenomenal, Patrick, because what events do I'll come back to events, but the deepest relationship possible is a one-on-one relationship. That's at the top of the pyramid. But there's a problem with that depth of relationship, Patrick, which is you can only do so much of it. You only as a business owner, you only have so much time. So social is easy because with this little device, you can send out a tweet, a Facebook, a social media post, and you can superficially connect with thousands of people. Okay, so it takes very little time, but it has very, very little impact as well. Very little impact. Flip that completely on its head and you go to one-on-one relationship. A one-on-one relationship is very deep. You're sitting down with someone, you're belly to belly, you meet with them for an hour, you have coffee, you have lunch, you have this, you have that, you break bread, whatever the case may be. Very deep relationship, but you can only do that 2, 3, 4 times a day. And that's where business owners get in trouble, Patrick, because they build their business on one-on-one relationships, which is great, but then they run out of the number one resource we can't make more of, which is time. And
the word that we need to really get in this conversation, I believe, is passive. When you're on social email or social, even this is a very passive relationship that we're trying to create. Now, having said that, we happen to know that there's some people listening in that know us, and we've had one-on-one relationships with them. But that passive relationship is maybe a place to start, but we really do have to be able to work our way up into getting that engagement, and that's so important. And nothing's better to do that than, of course, one-on-one, or even at events where you have the opportunity to do some one-on-one.
Well, and this is why I've been in the events business for 20 years, and so have you, Patrick, which is the power of events, folks, is that it allows you to do the one-on-one with many people. In the same amount of time, a day, 2.5 days, 3 hours, in an event, you get a much deeper connection, a much deeper relationship with people, but you get to connect with a lot more people as well. So it gives you both the depth and the width in terms of relationship. And this is why events are some of the best marketing investments you can possibly make. And then, you know what, Patrick, as the social media guy, and I don't know why people think I'm a social media guy, because it's just one channel. I really don't care about social media. It just happens to be that's where everybody's at. Everyone's looking at their phone. So I got to put my messages as a marketer where their eyeballs are. I really don't care so much about social media. But what I do care about is I care about growing business. And as a result of that, events are some of the best marketing investments you can make because of that depth of relationship.
And the other thing that we want to talk about is that's the target market. You're going and hanging out in the pond where your strongest target market is to create those relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something that this is forgotten. Events are forgotten in today's day and age when people think, oh, I could just send out a Facebook post and so on and so forth. Yes, and you should do that too. I'm not saying you don't do that. You do that too, but you also have to look at depth, and you have to invest in events. There's no doubt about it. Now, principle number 4, we gotta go quick and wrap this up, which is you must in marketing invest in leverage. And when I say invest in leverage, Patrick, as real estate investors, and a lot of people on this call are real estate investors. If you're watching this in a recording, you're probably either a real estate investor or you're connected to real estate investors. That's why you're here. Real estate works, Patrick, because of the leverage in real estate. And the message I want to send is marketing is the exact same. When you're investing in marketing, you're investing in leverage. You have to invest in what's going to leverage and what's going to work for have a long tail effect. If you want to invest in, just like in real estate, if you bought all your real estate with cash only, it would not be a very good investment, Patrick. It wouldn't be that good. It wouldn't be nearly as good as if you use leverage. And it's the same with marketing. Let me tell you what I mean. Now, REIN has been doing events and real estate, and we've been the #1 source and resource for real estate education across Canada for 28 years. Patrick, it's been 28 years. Can you believe it?
It's been a long time. A long time.
So we've, the community in general, the REIN members have transacted well over 40,000 properties. I continually have to update this slide. I think we're going to cross 50,000 soon. And we've done well over $5.3 billion of wealth has been created from the community. That's an incredible number, Patrick. I mean, very few communities and very few organizations can boast that they've had over $5 billion effect on this country.
Yeah, and that's just a statement of the demographic that they're taking action, they're engaged, they're doing business. That's the key there, is that's an indication of just how much action is being taken.
100%. This is, folks, represents 151,000 investors that REIN has trained. REIN has helped. These investors have used REIN's success formula to make an impact. And we're also very, very charitable, and we've raised well over $1.3 million for Habitat for Humanity. That's just to tell you a little bit about us. But here's why that's important, Patrick. This isn't about us. I'm not boasting about REIN. What I'm saying is that's leverage. If I was a property management company, which I am, and I invest in an event, in sponsoring an event, I invest in becoming a brand partner with REIN, all of that goodwill that REIN has been building for 28 years immediately gets accrued to me. I benefit from that. That's what I mean by leverage, folks. If you invest in an event, if you invest in a platform, if you invest in a brand that doesn't have these kinds of statistics, that doesn't have this kind of history, that doesn't have this kind of effect on the world, you don't get that leverage. We've invested 28 years to build up this brand and to build up this effect. You get the benefit from it. That's what I mean by leverage. So I'll give you some more examples as I go forward. That's just what I mean by leverage. All of these books, Patrick, REIN's been the #1 source and resource for real estate education across the country. There's no other books on Canadian real estate that matter compared to what REIN has written. And that, again, is leverage, isn't it, Patrick?
Totally is. And then we also become the source of the research and the analysis, which then takes, and all of the things that we teach within the book, then we also are the source for the research and the analysis of the economic fundamentals that drive a real estate market.
This is leverage, folks. Another example is all of the different companies that we've worked with, all of the amazing companies we've worked with over the years, that their brand and their credibility gets accrued to you. That's leverage. All the speakers that have spoken on our stage, the likes of Bob Proctor, the likes of a General Wayne Hilliard, the likes of Brett Wilson, the likes of a Daryl Sittler, and there's literally hundreds of others. All their credibility gets accrued to you. That's leverage. That's what I mean by leverage, folks. So here's what here's the deal that as I put it today, which is, Patrick, REIN is always interested in bringing more value to its community. If you're listening to this and you have value to bring to this community, that's what REIN is interested in. REIN is interested in enriching lives. REIN is interested in helping our members establish financial security, financial certainty, and financial freedom. And if you have a product or service that can help REIN members, it's going to be, then we're interested in having the conversation with you. And I'm not here today, Patrick. We don't have the time to go through all of the packages we offer and go through step by step in terms of everything that's included. That's not what we're interested in. But I do want to leave people with the message, Patrick, that we have an opportunity for people that have great products, great services, come from the right place, really want to make a difference, really want to make a contribution. Then there's an opportunity to work with REIN. And there's a price point that works for everyone. I'm not worried about the price point, especially if you know your lifetime value. Folks, don't call us if you don't know your lifetime value. Hey, our team is going to ask you that first question. What's the lifetime value of your client? Because that's how we're going to determine what kind of package is right for you. So, Patrick, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, bringing value to the community that's what we go to bed thinking about that, talking about that. We get up thinking and talking about that. Bringing value to this community is what it's all about for us.
Well, there's a fundamental here, and I don't know where you're going to go with this particular presentation, but REIN is relational, not transactional. Long-term relationships with our clients, long-term relationships with our REIN members. And so who we bring into the room, and this is where I think you're really shining a light on it, is that we're not just interested in somebody writing a check to attend an event. We're actually really interested in having somebody that wants to step up, create the relationship with us that provides an amazing service for our long-term clients, which is our REIN members, that serves the community in a powerful way.
Yeah, very, very well said, Patrick. And there's an opportunity for many people. If you know your numbers, if you're coming from the right place, if you have a great product, great service that can serve the community. And we've done some cool stuff, Patrick. In the last year, we've introduced a new app as part of our events. And we do, Patrick, is it roughly about 60 events a year, right? I mean, 60 events a year, coast to coast, with thousands and thousands and thousands of real estate investors. And we've introduced an app, which is really great. And there are a couple of screenshots. You can see all the partners that we work with, tons of opportunity here. And this app has been unbelievable in terms of the value it's brought to sponsors and brand partners, where you have direct contact information. You see the phone number, the websites, all that stuff, the descriptions. You can see all the speakers that are involved. You get in touch with everyone. We insert this absolutely everywhere. And Patrick, just at the last event itself, there was more than 25,000 page views on this app alone. This is a complete bonus. This, again, I'm going to come back to my point of leverage. This is leverage. This is us marketing you while you sleep, for example. And that's the kind of investments you want to make in marketing. You want to have marketing investments that outlast you, that go beyond just that one-on-one, that go beyond just what's happening. You need your marketing to outlast you. Otherwise, you'll never be able to grow beyond where you are today. So, folks, I want you to reconsider your lifetime value now, right? If your lifetime value I'm trying to train you to make data-driven decisions, because if I could get you to know your data and I could get you to make decisions based on that data, it's gonna open up doors for you that you never thought possible. Because, Patrick, what happens is, and I remember, and folks, I'm not saying this stuff because I'm special. I'm saying this stuff because I've been there. I've sat at my desk in my office, looked at an investment in some marketing and thought, how the hell do I afford this? Where do I get the cash for this? Should I do this or should I do that? I was so confused in terms of what to do. And this is what clarifies everything. This is what eliminates the guesswork. When you know your lifetime value and you know that your lifetime value is, say, $4,000. I'll just say 4,000. I'm picking a number out of midair because I don't know all your lifetime values. Actually, maybe you can put it in the chat, folks. If you're watching this, put your lifetime value in the chat. That way it'd be interesting to see what yours is. But if your lifetime value is $4,000, and there's a marketing investment, you could become a brand partner of REIN's, and it's going to cost, say, $10,000. Well, that means that if you get 2.5 clients, this is how I think about it. If you get 2.5 clients from the investment, you're break even. If you get 5 clients, you've doubled your investment, right? If you get 5 clients, do you think you're going to get 5 clients? I don't know. You got to make that decision. I don't know. You're the one who's got to make that call. How many clients is it going to take for you to 10x your investment? Now, this wasn't part of my presentation, but I'll give this to you folks because people often ask, what should I shoot for? Here's my answer. If you can invest, this is my answer, not just for REIN, this is my answer for all marketing across the board. If you can invest in marketing, okay, and break even, you should do it 3 times. 3 times to see if the first break even becomes a double or a triple. If the first break even becomes a 5x, you should do it 3 times. If the marketing investment doubles your money, so let's just say you invest, your lifetime value of a client's $4,000, you invest that, you get $8,000 out of it, okay, you should keep doing that, okay, 5 times, because you want to see if the double becomes a 5x, if the double becomes a 10x. Now, where it gets fun is 5x. When your marketing investment becomes 5x, meaning you invest, say, $4,000 and you pull out 20, if you do that you should do all the time, okay? Don't stop that one. Keep that sucker going. That should be those are amazing. And when you get to 10x, that's when you mortgage the farm. That's when you unload. That's when you really start. When you invest $4,000 and you pull out 40,000, that's when you could really spin your business. That's when you could really scale your business. And that's where scalability lives. Now, here's the thing. You'll never find the 5x or the 10x without going through the break evens and the 2x. So you have to get through the break even and the 2x. Now, if you lose money on event, stop immediately. And I say event just because that's what I'm talking about here today, but I'm talking about all marketing investment. If you're investing in Facebook ads and you invest $1,000 into a Facebook ad and you don't get a single client over the course of a whole year, then you're not doing it right. You've got to figure that out, okay? So break even, 2x, 5x, 10x. That's what you're shooting for. Patrick, anything to add on this? I mean, you've spent a lot of money in marketing over the years.
Yeah, I have. And, I don't really have too much. I think the key here is that these are the answers that I found, early on in my business that I was looking for. Something that I could kind of hang my hat on to make my decisions in what I was doing with my marketing. So I think you've really hit on a couple of key points here. And the only other question I would maybe have for you here, JG, and I know we're running out of time, but I would ask you this question. What is the percentage based on my, on my sales, for example, let's say I'm doing $1 million a year in sales. What do you think is a great position? Would you give a recommendation of a percentage that you should be investing in your marketing based on that top line?
10%. Yeah, 10%. If you're driven to grow, then 10%. If you're driven to maintain, then you might be able to cut it back to 7-8%. But anything less than 5%, you're gonna start losing market share. And Patrick, you and I know of businesses where they used to be the leader in their business. They stopped investing in marketing and they started losing relevance very, very quickly. It doesn't take very long. And then here's the thing. It's just like, because everyone listening to this understands real estate, because we're mostly all real estate investors, marketing is like maintenance in real estate. You're going to pay for that stuff, whether now or later, you're going to pay for it. It's going to cost you, because if you bring your marketing budgets right down to nothing for a year, 2 years, what's going to happen is in year 3, you're going to have to quadruple what you typically spend in order to bring back your relevance. So marketing's finicky that way. 10%, Patrick, is my general rule of thumb and works very, very well. That's the answer. Great question. Okay, so folks, back to leverage. Now you understand this concept of leverage, and this is important. That's principle number 4, is invest in marketing that leverages. Let me give you an example of marketing that doesn't leverage, okay? A newspaper ad is a perfect example of something that has very, very little leverage. And by the way, leverage, folks, and I hope I'm not going too deep into this, but you know how I get, Patrick, I get so passionate about this stuff, is leverage isn't a yes or no. It's not a black or white, it's gray. Some marketing has very little leverage, newspaper ads. Some marketing has a lot of leverage, right? Like a sponsorship in an event where you have speaking time and so on and so forth. That has a lot of leverage. So you have 2 different leverage points, and you have everything in between that. So focus on marketing that has high leverage, and that's really important. The other thing is, when it comes to this kind of thing, in our particular case, Patrick, you know, people that are coming to this are interested in working with REIN. That's why you're watching this. You're interested in sponsoring an event. You're interested in being a brand partner. You're interested in working with the community to truly bring value. I cannot emphasize that enough. If you're there to sell shit, it's not going to work. Our community will kick you right out of there. This is not, no one's interested in you selling stuff. What we're interested in is you bringing value. And for example, you can invite your clients in your database and let us help educate your clients if you're in the real estate business. The social media, this is another example of leverage, Patrick. Say you do an event with and I'm using REIN as an example. Let's say you sponsor another event. We think you should sponsor REIN's events, but let's just say you sponsor another event. So the event itself is one piece of the marketing investment. But in order to truly leverage that investment, you should be doing social media leading up to that event. So for example, these are some of the cards that have been posted on social media by some of our sponsors over the years, and this is just last year, for example, where these people were posting this stuff on their social media for weeks before the event and weeks after the event. That's leverage. That's where you're leveraging this single moment in time into months and months and months of activity. That's marketing leverage, for example. And Patrick, this comes back to you, and I'll let you speak to this. But you know, there's no better example than relational, not transactional, and how REIN is committed to that for its members and for its partners. And Park Insurance and BDO are both celebrating 10 years with us this year, by the way.
Wow, that's been a long time. But you know, here's the thing about it, and this is so important. When you look at the lifetime value of a client, which is what we've been talking a lot about, and then we're looking at the actual most impactful ways to create long-term relationship. One of the things about REIN and the membership, the community, is that our average member is 40 months or more, and we have lots that have been there 10, 15 years. The point of this is that we see time and time again, and we'll use BDO and Park Insurance, is they just keep showing up. These other sponsors, they just keep showing up. Brent Roberts is always in the room. You know, Maravitz Peteshin out of Ottawa, they're always in the room. They're always having conversations. They're being of service to the clients that they're having conversations with, that one-on-one FaceTime. And actually you're building relationship over time. And, you know, and that's really the key point in this event-driven kind of marketing, is you put in the time. It isn't like show up, grab a bunch of leads, you know, do an email blast and away you go. No, this is really showing up and being of service.
See, that's a perfect example of not leveraging marketing properly. That's a short-term view. First of all, that really won't work with the REIN community, but that won't work ever. Those days are done, guys. If you're marketing like that, you're marketing like it was 1986. Quit it. Stop that stuff. Focus on the relationship. And the reason this is so impactful, Patrick, like in terms of a social, in terms of an overarching pop culture social reference, the reason the relational is so important is because everyone has gone transactional now. So everyone is baiting someone on Facebook. Everyone's doing this stuff. Everyone's gone transactional. And if you want to stand out in the world of marketing, you have to do what other people are doing. And that's relationship. That's focusing on the human. That's what this is all about. And that's what REIN's all about. That's why we're interested in working with brand partners that are interested in bringing true value to the community and interested in really becoming partners. That's really what it is, Patrick. It's a brand partnership.
Well, there's a fundamental difference here, right? Which is if you're in the business and you're chasing money, it's going to be transactional because you just want to get that next dollar in the door. If you're looking and you've actually done the math on the lifetime value of a client, then you understand that the time that you put in actually expands on the amount of money that you're going to make, and you're creating that relationship. You're being of service. So different. And I have a good friend in the restaurant business who's uber successful, but that he understands that fundamental is that relationship that I create with my client leads to referrals, leads to my client coming back once a month or twice a month, whatever the deal is. And that particular person is so successful in the restaurant business, and that's why.
Well, I think back to Brent Roberts and Brent Roberts. I mean, if BDO and Park are celebrating 10 years, Brent's probably celebrating 27 years.
Well, and that's the thing, look at Investment Revenue Realty, with Cynthia Asen or Western Wealth Capital with Dave Steele. These individuals are so successful, but they just keep showing up. They just keep bringing service, value. They answer questions. They create that relationship. They build that rapport, and they're doing business.
Yeah, absolutely. So, folks, we're come to the end now, and if you're interested at all in this being for you, then you got to apply. This is not a buy this and you're in kind of situation. Not even close to that. You have to apply. You have to be vetted. We have to understand how you're going to benefit. And we specifically, most importantly, have to understand how the community is going to benefit. That's the most important part. And if the community is going to benefit, I promise you're going to benefit. And the team that is standing by, and if you're interested, put your name and phone number and email in the chat. And someone from our team, Amy from our QSI team is going to follow up with you, get a real understanding of what you're looking to achieve, and see if it's truly a good fit. Because this is the most important part in marketing, which is doing things that matter, that are going to make a difference for you and for your business and for the client. Because if it doesn't make a difference for the client, and Patrick, you said it best, everyone's in the transactional game. If you're chasing that next dollar, quit it. Because if you're chasing that next dollar, I tell you this, you're going to find that next dollar, but you're going to miss the next $100 bill. So you got to quit chasing the next dollar. It's not a way to grow business. You have to focus on making the right moves. And so I'll leave it at that, folks. Put your name, phone number, and email in the chat if this is of interest to you. If you're interested in applying, if you're interested in working with our team, if you want to find out if this is for you and if we can craft a package for you, then great. We're open to having this discussion. And if you're watching this, in recording, then let us know. Get in touch with whoever sent you this, and let's find out if this is truly a good partnership. So because this is not an opportunity that comes around every day, Patrick. This is not something that comes around every day for REIN and for REIN potential brand partners. So name, phone number, and email, put it in the chat. And I'll just say this, Patrick, unfortunately, we don't have a whole lot of time for Q&A, but I will answer one question that I have a feeling people are asking, which is this. One of the questions that I often get is, at which point should I stop doing a marketing activity? And I've seen a lot of people over the years, they might be in this kind of relationship, in a brand partnership relationship, or any other kind of marketing. And over the course of a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, they kind of feel like it's not as effective as it once was, right? That's a feeling that comes over them. But you know what? First thing, look at your data. When you get comfortable with a marketing investment, whether it's Facebook ads, whether it's Google ads, whether it's newspaper ads, radio ads, or a brand partnership or an influencer relationship, it doesn't matter what the deal is. You end up getting complacent, you end up getting comfortable, and first thing you do is you stop measuring. You're going to stop measuring your numbers. All of a sudden it's like, yeah. And then you think, well, shit, I don't think I've gotten a client from there in a long time. I don't think it's really generating leads like it once did. But you really don't know. You're just guessing again. You've stopped tracking. You've stopped making data-driven decisions. So the first thing you do is go back to the data, start tracking. If you can backtrack. If you can't, then start from where you are that point forward. Start tracking and make data-driven decisions. The minute your gut gets involved in a marketing decision, It's not a good thing. Your gut should open up the opportunity, but you should confirm that opportunity, whether you do it or don't do it, with the data. And so you're going to have to try. You're going to have to try new marketing initiatives. You're going to have to give it a shot. You're going to have to make investments, but then you confirm the decision with data. So Patrick, we're going to have to leave it at that. I hope this has been beneficial. I really do. I mean, I love talking about this stuff.
Yeah, it's such an interesting topic. You know, small business owners, we actually don't ever stop talking about marketing, and certainly in our support of our sponsors within REIN, and you know, those who get behind us and get behind our members at our events, it's a top of mind conversation that we're having all of the time.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. Thank you, folks. Appreciate your time. Have a great day. Get in touch with us. If this is of interest to you, leave your information. Get in touch with us. Send us an email, and we will go from there and get you applied. Thank you, Patrick. Have a great day, folks.
Thanks, JG.
Bye-bye.